Would you believe us if we told you that Russian President Vladimir apparently uses food tasters, look-alike stand-ins, bodyguards with armored briefcases and powerful weapons, and other methods to safeguard himself from assassination attempts and coup plotters? Yes, you heard it right. Putin, a former KGB agent who has held office since taking office in 2000, is reportedly preoccupied with his security and health, taking great measures to shield himself from assassins and stay away from COVID-19 at all costs. The Federal Protective Service, or FSO in Russia, which has its origins in 1881 when Tsar Alexander III surrounded himself with guards after a bomb-throwing revolutionary murdered his father, is the organization that Putin's bodyguards, who refer to themselves as his musketeers, make up. Given the scope of its role, it makes sense that the Federal Protective Service is a separate organization. The U.S. Secret Service must broaden the range of disciplines it recruits from because of its various duties and obligations. To defend Vladimir Putin, one could assume that the Russian Protective Service would be looking for battle veterans, police officers, and others from a similar profession. However, the Russians are not only interested in combatants. Height and weight requirements for Russian protection agents are expected, but other qualifications beyond those of war veterans and police investigators are also necessary. Candidates are chosen based on their fluency in a foreign language and their knowledge of both domestic and foreign politics. The Russian government anticipates that its security forces will be aware of potential presidential visitors and will treat them with the deference and status they merit. The Beyond Russia website, which is maintained by TV Novosti, a state-funded organization that also manages the troubled RT propaganda network, is where most of the information regarding the elite presidential security service has been made public. According to the website, Putin's bodyguards are hand-selected based on traits like operational psychology, physical stamina, and the capacity to endure cold and stay dry in the heat. Advanced teams scout Putin's destination months before his travel to determine how the public will likely react, and even whether the area might be affected by inclement weather or natural disasters. During the action, the bodyguards go in 4 separate circles while on duty. His personal presidential guard is in the first circle and is closest to Putin. The presidential bodyguards are always holding something in front of them, one hand near the weapon. Guards in plain clothes who have blended in with the crowd and are on the lookout for potential attacks make up the second circle. In case of an assault, there will be snipers on the rooftops of neighboring buildings in the final circle to watch for any sharp turns toward or away from the president in the third circle, which is around the perimeter of a mob. As mentioned earlier, the security guard must possess operational psychology, which entails the capacity to foresee hazards, take appropriate precautions, and do so covertly. Additionally, candidates must be under 35, between 175 and 190 centimeters tall, and weigh between 75 and 90 kilograms to be considered for the post. These men are holding portable shields that can be used to shelter the president from projectiles. The guards are equipped with a 9mm Gurza handgun, which can fire up to 40 rounds per minute and penetrate bulletproof vests from a distance of 50 meters. However, if there is a firefight, the security team has failed. Any attacks should above all be stopped in advance. Many of the bodyguards have suitcases that may protect the president from attacks and are equipped with bulletproof armor. They also carry Kevlar umbrellas that can shield their charge from gunshots and other projectiles during a variety of attacks. The hands, which are usually in front of the body with the left hand frequently elevated halfway, are another characteristic that suggests a bodyguard. The guard must always be in an attentive position. This is a must, since protecting the president with their bodies in the event of danger is the direct responsibility of the first circle. Also, additional safety measures could be put in place for the president's appearances in large public areas. You can see the bulletproof glass screens behind the president's back in this footage of Vladimir Putin paying tribute to the late mayor of St. Petersburg, Anatoly Sobchak, by placing flowers at his monument. The screens were installed particularly for the event. Finally, the bulk of the unit rides in armored vans with the president's parade. The majority of the president's protection also requires extreme driving skills. These men are special operations soldiers equipped with anti-tank grenade launchers, Dragunov sniper rifles, AK-47 assault rifles, and mobile OSA or WASP anti-aircraft missile systems. In the case of Vladimir Putin, the president himself is the key component of the president's protection. According to numerous former members of the president's security, Putin is a generally manageable dignitary because he has experience working for the Soviet and Russian secret services. He consistently complies with the security requirements set forth by his security staff, since he's confident in their expertise. According to reports, Putin's bodyguards must be replaced at the age of 35. Still, they may also be given the opportunity to advance to important new positions such as regional governors, federal ministers, special services commanders, and presidential administrators. Last but not least, the president is additionally protected by a heavily armed quick reaction unit of Russian military special operators in an armored truck for any kind of complicated attack, even if it originates from a tank or aircraft. Technicians assess the location where he'll be staying, install jamming devices to stop bombs from being detonated remotely, and undertake electronic surveillance of nearby telephones and other devices. Military special operators carry AK-47s, anti-tank grenade launchers, and transportable anti-aircraft missiles in a convoy of heavily armored vans as they travel. 4 rings of security surround him whenever he enters a public space, including his bodyguards, others who are camouflaged in the mob, other guards who round the perimeter, and snipers placed on nearby rooftops. A specialized division of the Federal Security Service is responsible for the president's personal safety. Surprisingly, prior military service is not a requirement for this profession. According to a former member of the president's security team, it's doubtful that a president's security guard will have to set up ambushes on mountain trails or jump with a parachute. While having expertise in combat is helpful, it frequently has a little bearing on our work. You attack in a conflict. A bodyguard should only shield the dignitary from invisible threats. This is why former police officers are unqualified, since they're taught to arrest. In contrast, the president's bodyguards put the president's security before having to catch the attacker. Conor McGregor put his arm around Putin's shoulders in 2018 as they posed for pictures together at the World Cup soccer tournament in Moscow, and one bodyguard was seen stepping in to stop it. When Russia was fighting separatists in Chechnya in the early 2000s, Putin made multiple trips there. Later, he confirmed that he was given a stand-in, but he said in a 2020 interview that he declined these body doubles every time the topic was raised. According to the founder of the Club des Chefs, a gourmet group whose members prepare for heads of state and monarchs throughout the world, Putin also has someone try every dish he served to make sure he isn't being poisoned. Gilles Braggart stated to The Telegraph in 2012 that tasters still exist, but exclusively in the Kremlin, where a doctor reviews every dish with the chef. To know who approaches the president and how these persons should be treated, the president's personal guards must also be fluent in other languages and essentially comprehend politics. The presidential guards are very tough. They're taught to withstand the extreme cold in light overcoats, but bulky overalls might make it difficult for them to move. Some reports claim that they use medications that have an impact on physiological functions. The bodyguards are permitted to smoke, which helps them decompress from stress more quickly, although obviously not when they're in training or at work. Do you think that the personal security force for the Russian president has the greatest personnel and training in the nation? Well, that's all for this video. We summed up all the information that we knew about how Putin's personal escort operates. Don't forget to drop a like and push the bell icon so you never miss an update from us.